God blesses work. You know, there's a young man who approached an old businessman. The young man said, "The only reason that you've done so well is because you've been lucky." The old businessman said, "Son, let me tell you, I learned that the harder I worked, the smarter I worked, and the longer I worked, the luckier I was." God blesses work. Let's talk about active and passive income. Let me give you a couple verses from the Bible. Colossians 3:23. "Whatsoever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men." Proverbs 13:4. "The soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing." Yeah, the old sluggard, the bum, the one who refuses to work. Not those who are unable to work, those who will not work is what we're talking about there. Then 2 Thessalonians chapter 3. "Even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat." Well, I'm an evangelist, and so I've got several sources of income. People have asked me, "Brother Fox, you mentioned on earlier videos that you have streams of income." Yes, I've never been able to make a full-time living as an evangelist. Now, that's not being ugly to churches, because churches have been wonderful to me, just wonderful. And I thank God for all the churches, and I love getting to do the work of the evangelist, seeing people saved, seeing people walk with God, seeing people encouraged. I live for that. But to keep the bills paid, I found other ways to earn some money to pay our bills. And so many of you know that Bible Truth Music has been around 34 years now. Did I get an income from Bible Truth Music? Actually, I didn't. I had to work at building that, and we paid other people that worked for us, but I myself did not draw any salary until about 7 years ago. 7 years ago, I gave myself a little pay. And I liked it so much that the next year I gave myself a little more pay. I like it. What has Renee and I done with the income from Bible Truth Music? We have tithed on it. We've given offerings on it. And we put all the rest of it, though it was not much, but we put all the rest of it into retirement savings. We've been investing that, which has helped us have a little bit of other income toward the future. But as an evangelist, as I traveled, especially when I first got started as an evangelist, I saw that I was not making enough money to pay the bills. Travel expenses are very, very high. And so I cleaned offices. I began a little cleaning company and began cleaning offices. I didn't let churches even know that I was doing this. I wasn't trying to hide it from them, but I didn't want them to feel undue pressure to give me larger offerings. And work is good. And so for a while, I cleaned businesses and offices. I've done construction jobs along the way, mostly grunt work. I could carry the brick for the bricklayer, and I've done some of that. I've built fences, I've thrown hay, I've taught private music lessons, learned about affiliate marketing. I learned how to sell things that were good and helpful, mostly office supplies. And so along the way, I've learned ways to make money to supply the needs of my family. Now, we've got these two terms, active income and passive income. Well, quite honestly, there is nothing of real passive income, meaning doing nothing and making money. I don't know of anything that does that. Even what's classified as passive income, you still have to do a little work at least sometime along the way to have some of this passive income. But I have developed a little bit of passive income by the grace of God. I have some royalties and some streaming income that comes in, and we've been investing all these things. The royalties of songs that I've written that other publishers have published. I do have songs that, I started to say many, several other music publishers have published. And by the way, it's a very hard time on Christian music publishers right now. Several of the major Christian music publishers in America have just closed. The pandemic has been very, very hard on it. I'm glad that Bible Truth Music, though it's been hurt and it's under a lot of pressure, that at least we're still open by the grace of God. But I've got a passive way of making some income in royalties and streaming. You know, when songs I've written play on the radio, play on YouTube, play on Pandora, Spotify, all these different places. We've got music that I'm aware of on about 200 different platforms that plays our music. Had millions of plays last year. And now you may think, wow, millions of plays? For every 14 plays on YouTube, if it's a long enough play, you make 1 penny. That's the music publisher makes a penny. That's not what the composer makes. The composer makes a much smaller number than that. I don't even know how many plays it takes of songs that I've written when they're played on YouTube. It's a lot of plays to make 1 penny. But I do get money from YouTube when songs that I've written have played on YouTube and all these different places. Then there's dividends. Now, our family is using DRIP, D-R-I-P, Dividend Reinvestment Program. All the dividends on any of the stocks or EFTs that we own, eventually we hope to have passive income out of that. When I get in my late 60s or so, when I will not be able to travel as hard as I do currently, maybe when I'm 70. Of course, who knows if you even live to be 70. You know, I'm currently 58 years old. This could be my last day. This could be your last day. But you make plans for the future, and we've got dividends out of these things that are currently just being reinvested. But eventually, we can draw those. They're small. The dividends are very small. But if you have enough stock and enough EFTs and mutual funds pay dividends, if you have enough of those, you can have some income out of that. And we're working toward that by the grace of God. And then this is a very, very tiny stream of income currently is interest. Renee and I have some money in the bank, and we've got a money market where we keep our contingency fund. That's what we call it, our emergency fund. We call it a contingency fund. And it's sitting there in that money market currently making 0.3% interest. So talking about a tiny stream of income, yeah, it's inconsequential. But I remember when I was a young man and had a CD that made 10% interest. That was during the Jimmy Carter days when he was president, when interest rates were enormous. They're currently very, very small. What are some other ways that maybe you could have some passive income? Well, I've got several friends who have rental properties. I've got one preacher friend who has 13 rental properties. And he's been doing this for years. For years he's been doing this. And he's making some income off of those homes. Now, he's a faithful preacher. He's one of my favorite preachers. I love hearing this gentleman preach. He knows the Bible and knows it well. But along the way, to have some income, which is totally honest, and any pastor listening to me, any young preacher listening to me, these are legitimate. Don't let these things get you sidetracked, though. The greatest thing in this entire world is serving God. Do not get caught up in greed. But there is nothing in the Bible that says it's wrong to make a profit. Taking advantage of people is wrong. Gouging people is wrong. But making a profit and being an investor and being a worker is not wrong. In fact, I encourage you to do this Because the more money you make, the more money you can give in the cause of Christ. And I want you to be a giver, just like Renee and I. We decided a long time ago that instead of being takers, we want to be givers. And so ways you can have passive income. Rental properties. I've got another friend who's just recently acquired some commercial properties that he's renting now. And he's doing quite well with that. That's very, very good. You know, the rental properties themselves appreciate generally over time. There's ups and downs and all these things. But over time, over the long term, these rental properties appreciate in value. Now, be very, very careful that you don't overextend yourself. Don't go from not owning any property to trying to have, 10 properties. Oh, try a little before you try a lot. And debt-free is the way to be. If you can pay cash for things, is always best. The Bible does not prohibit debt, but the Bible never says go as far in debt as possible. That's unwise. That's unwise. So be very careful, be very calculating, and be very realistic. But ways you can have passive income, rental properties. All right, here's another way. Loans. 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 I've got a little bit older friend in South Carolina, and he's been in real estate most of his life. But now here, later in his life, he's begun loaning out on properties. And he's very, very good at it. He's very good at it. He knows how to handle money. And so he's got these loans that he's making good money on. You got to be careful with these kind of things and get good advice before you start doing these things. Don't go into it and make big investments until you know what you're doing. Try a little before you try a lot. And so these loans, you can do these things. And the Lord can give you ideas. I know someone that has eBay, that he's a preacher. He's got an eBay account, and he's found numbers of things that he's able to resell into his store. So you look for ways that you could have some extra income that is noble and is right and is honorable for the Lord and for a Christian to do. But I encourage all of you, be workers. Americans have believed in the past that it was noble and right and completely normal to have a good work ethic. So I want you to work. May God bless you.